Hey, it's Brian. All right. Well, I've been having some second thoughts about collecting Pentax, and let me fill you in on why. So, the theme I've been pursuing with these videos is camera systems, that is 35 millimeter camera systems, which are underpriced, which the market is neglecting, and where you can find the best deals and best bargains if you are getting into 35 millimeter for the first time. I want to point out to people shopping on a budget, where are the best deals? What should you look for? So up until now, I've featured two systems: a Nikon pre-AI system based upon the Nichromat. I've got a bunch of videos up on that. Check out the playlist. Also, a bunch of videos on Nikon lenses. A playlist for that as well I've got on the channel. And the second system that I've explored and will continue to explore is Konica, an auto reflex based Konica system with Konica hexanon lenses and auto reflex cameras. That is a forgotten system, and in my opinion, one of the best deals going. And you can look forward to many more Konica videos on the way on this channel. So the other idea I had was based on Pentax lenses, because Pentax lenses are phenomenal. Of the camera companies that were active in 35 millimeter back in the manual focus era, a handful were known primarily as lens companies and camera manufacturers second. And those are first Nikon, Pentax, arguably Konica. That I'm choosing to make a case for Konica. And you also had Contax Yashica and Leica R-mount, but the Contax Yashica and Leica R-mount were luxury products back then and remain so today. They were never cheap, and they are not cheap today. So I'm not covering those because they're I'm not suggesting they're overpriced, but I think you can get stuff that's almost as good, if not just as good, for much less, and which is the whole point of the videos I'm making. So here was my bright idea about Pentax. Okay, so I hadn't collected Pentax in a number of years, and I was under the impression that the K-mount lenses were much less expensive than other competing systems. So I thought, well, the Pentax cameras, the nice cameras, the ones I like, or the ones that I would be inclined to buy, are not cheap. Those are not bargains. And I'm talking about the LX, the KX, and the MX. In my opinion, those are the best Pentax 35 millimeter cameras to get because they're all mechanical. And none of them have mercury battery issues, and at any rate, but they're not cheap. I'm not suggesting that they're overpriced because they're excellent cameras. I mean, they're worth what you pay for them. I mean, I feel about those cameras the same way I feel about, say, the Nikon FM. It's not a bargain, but it's worth it. I mean, if you got the money, you're not wasting your money. You're not overpaying. But I'm looking for the bargains. So here's my bright idea. My bright idea was, well, let's look at some of the plastic-bodied Pentax came-out cameras of that era. There were a bunch of plastic-bodied SLRs made in Pentax came-out, primarily by Ricoh, Cosina, and Chinon, and used that as a platform for these, what I thought were underpriced Pentax lenses. So here's what's happening with that. This is an XR1. This is a Ricoh XR1. It's private labeled by the American department store company Sears. Sold back in the late 70s and early 80s. And it's probably, I don't think I'm going too far out on a limb to say that it's one of the best plastic-bodied SLRs you can get for Pentax K-mount. I did a review of this camera and I stand by it. But they're not that common. You don't run across XR1s all that often. I found this locally and picked it up. Frankly, I overpaid for it because I had one years ago and I wanted another one, and you don't see them very often. So I just grabbed it when I saw it. Although when they do come up, oftentimes they're not particularly expensive because it's a Ricoh brand, and then there's to my knowledge there's no such thing as a Ricoh collector. Okay, at least not from this equipment back in this period of time. So my hopes on Ricoh cameras were kind of dashed recently when one of the gentlemen from Camera Rescue gave an interview and said that Ricoh cameras have a 90% failure rate coming in the door of Camera Store. And that kind of threw a bucket of cold water on my Ricoh idea. Now, I've since then clarified that what they were talking about was the electronic shutter Ricohs, which is fine, but that covers most of the Ricoh cameras. This has the XR1 is a mechanical shutter, it's copal square shutter, and also the KR5 and KR5 Super were mechanical shutter Ricohs, and those you do see fairly frequently, the KR5 and KR5 Super, and they're not that expensive when you do see them. But the other day I was window shopping online, which is one of my favorite pastimes, and I ran across, I think it might have been on KEH or Used Photo Pro, I don't remember which, but it was a ProMaster branded, which must have been a Casina K-mount camera. Now, ProMaster was the in-house store brand of one of the American photo processing companies. I want to say Ritz Camera, either Ritz Camera or Fox Photo, one of the others. But it was a store brand. It was and it's it's generic quality stuff. So nothing special. And this thing was selling in good shooting condition for like $45, which I thought was just ridiculous. I mean, one of those little plasticky things should go for maybe $25. I had a Vivitar V3800 back in the day, 10, 15 years ago, and that was the cheapest lightweight plastic toy camera I've ever owned. Not impressed, but if you can get one, I figured in mint condition for $25, why not? Well, they're not going for mint condition at $25. They're the one that I saw was going for fairly decent condition for $45, and that's no bargain. And Chinon, well, I don't think they made any mechanical cameras. I think all their stuff is electronic, and I'm becoming wary of electronics of the 1970s and 1980s. They're failing, and Ricoh's, the failure rate of Ricoh is a harbinger of things to come, in my opinion. So that leaves the mechanical Ricohs, which are still reasonably affordable if you can find a nice one in good condition. And then the issue is, well, are the lenses any cheaper? My assumption was K-mount lenses I thought were fairly inexpensive. Well, that's true in certain focal lengths, but not true in others. For example, in the 28, 50, and 135 focal lengths, Pentax K-mount lenses, and when I say Pentax K-mount lenses, I mean lenses made by Pentax. Those are far and away the best K-mount lenses you're going to find. Most of the other stuff made in K-mount was made by various aftermarket companies. I know there's one or two of those aftermarket companies have like cult fan followings online now, but I have not joined said cults, and so I stick. If I'm going to get into a K-mount system, I'm going to stick to Pentax lenses. And in that regard, you've got the three focal lengths that are fairly inexpensive, or the 50 millimeter focal length. This is a 50 millimeter f2, excellent lens. You can get these things for $20 in good shooting condition, maybe 25. The 28 millimeter focal length is relatively inexpensive. I've seen a couple of 28s for sale for $50 or less in nice shooting conditions, and that's certainly a bargain. Although I'm just not a big fan of the 28 millimeter focal length. If I want wide angle, I'll grab a 24. If I want the wide side of normal, I'll grab a 35. I just, for me, 28 is kind of neither fish nor fowl. So I haven't pulled the trigger on one of those yet. And the other focal length that's pretty inexpensive in Pentax K-mount is the 135. This is the 135-35 M series, and it is one of the smallest, lightest telephoto lenses you're going to find. Apparently Olympus made one that may be smaller and lighter, but otherwise this thing is it's a nice compact little lens. I shot one roll of film with it, and so far pleased with the results, but you can't really judge it so much based on one roll of film. What I'm trying to get a hold of is some of the intermediate focal lengths, the intermediate telephotos like 85 and 100. Well, the 85 f2 Pentax, those things are $250 all day long. I mean, that's more expensive than the competing Nikors. And the 100 f2.8 is I'm still searching for a decent copy at a decent price and having a tough time. Those things, I'm getting the feeling those things sell for about the same as a Nikkor 105-25. So the issue is, can you beat Nikkor pre-AI prices by buying Pentax K-mount, say M series, which is the small light ones, or K series, either one, lenses? And I think in general the answer is no. I'm not seeing a whole lot of huge, great deals in Pentax. You can get the 51.4 in the M series. It's not expensive. It's around the same price as, say, Canon or Minolta. And given the choice between Canon, Minolta, or Pentax, I'd buy Pentax for sure. I think they made better lenses back then. So I'm not sure how much farther I'm going to pursue this little project. I just don't. I don't see it as really viable. I mean, the whole purpose was to find something that's underpriced and that's a great bargain, and something you can build a full system on. And Nikon Pre-AI, yes. Konica Hexanon, absolutely. Pentax, Again, it's not overpriced. I'm not suggesting that they're overpriced. I'm having a tough time, making the case that you can get an underpriced great bargain system with a Pentax K-mount camera, good high quality Pentax K-mount camera, and Pentax lenses. So I'm not sure how much more I'm going to pursue this, and so those are just some of my thoughts on the issue. If you're a Pentax collector, let me know. What are your thoughts? What are the bargains in Pentax? What are the best deals? Is Pentax a bargain system? I mean, their lenses are some of the best. And I was hoping to find some great deals on the K-mount lenses from Pentax, and I'm other than those 3 focal lengths, I'm having a bit of a tough time. Let me know your thoughts. If you collect Pentax, what am I missing? I haven't collected Pentax in quite some time. I used to I had an extensive Canon FD collection, and now I've put a lot of years investing in Nikon. I have far less knowledge about Pentax, so let me know. What am I missing? Is Pentax a great bargain system or not? Again, I'm not suggesting it's overpriced. But I'm looking for the bargains, and I'm not sure that this really qualifies. So anyway, it was a nice idea. I'm not sure that it's worth putting a whole lot more money into. So those are my thoughts at the present moment. Drop me a comment. Let me know what you think as well. If you found this video informative or interesting, please subscribe and check out the links below. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.